up, everybody, and welcome to this edition of On a Couch Talking Sports. As always, I'm Robbie. Kyle is here as well. Kyle, how are you tonight, bud?
Hey, what's up, dude? Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Just hanging out, usual stuff.
Yeah, happy hump day, yeah. And also the last day of March. Nope, that's not an early April Fool's joke. It literally is the last day of March.
Yes.
So, which means that spring is, sort of in full, even more in full effect. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
So for tonight's episode, if you watched our last episode where we took a nice little walk, which by the way was a lot of fun to do, walking around the Chestnut Hill Reservoir there and talking some sports movies and sports in movies more importantly. And tonight is actually kind of Kyle's sort of part two of Kyle's sort of little brainchild here for some episode topics. So I actually wanted to turn it over to Kyle right now, kind of changing things up how we kick off the episode. I actually want to turn it over to Kyle to introduce tonight's topic that, like I said, that he thought of for tonight's episode. So Kyle, why don't you let the people know what we're going to be talking about tonight?
So tonight, very similar to how we did the last episode, where we kind of talked about like what were the best sports, or what sports worked the best in movies. We're kind of going to shift it over. What sports work the best in video games, or at least in our opinion? What are our favorite sports that we like to play, like our favorite video game sports, essentially? So, so we're just going to kind of go back and forth on that. So, yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. And since it is your idea, I will give you the floor to kick us off here with sort of your thoughts on favorite sports to play in video games.
So the cool thing about this is that what sometimes when you think about a video game sport can be so different from the actual sport that it's based on. So it's like a sport that I wouldn't normally do in real life, like hockey, for example, is very different in the video game because you don't have to know how to skate to play a hockey video game, it's kind of nice when you think about that.
Or tennis, or golf, or all the above.
Yeah, right. And honestly, one of my favorites is actually a perfect segue is hockey for that reason. Like, I have no balance on the ice. I can literally not.
It's okay.
Yeah, there you go. And like, it's like when you play the hockey game, you don't have to worry about balance. You don't have to worry about all that stuff. It's a lot of fun because I noticed hockey and basketball are kind of similar when it comes to like their video game counterparts, but hockey to me is really fun because it's very fast paced and the periods are actually they're pretty short. Like in football, they do like usually like 5 minute, 4 or 5 minute periods. I think I forget how hockey does it exactly, but it's cool because not only do you get to like pass the puck around, and there is some like really like it does have like the fundamental like kind of like teamwork that you do in hockey, and the positions are pretty much the same when you switch around all the different players, but it does have the extra factor where you can start fights, which I think is like really cool. So so it does have like a fighting mode, like certain hockey games where you play them and there's like these like little bars that pop up and it's like, oh, it's now a fighting game. So it kind of like, I like it because it incorporates sometimes different kinds of gameplay styles. So you're slapping the puck into the net in 1 second, and then the next second you're picking fights with random players in the ice. It's great. It's really cool. And yeah, so, and of course I can be the Montreal Canadiens if I want to. So
yeah, I mean, obviously, that wouldn't be my choice for team, but to each their own. But yeah, no, you're right, because I mean, obviously, my skating abilities are less than stellar as well, and also, probably my fighting abilities are probably, especially on a hockey rink, are probably subpar. So it kind of lets you dream, lets you sort of fantasize there about what it would be like to actually play that sport, or sort of be be involved in all of that. So it definitely definitely sort of lets you escape from reality, so to speak, for a little bit there, like like most video games do. Are there any other, besides hockey? Are there any other sort of sports that you really enjoy in the video game world?
So yeah, actually, I want to go over two more specific ones. And speaking of fighting, that we talked about in hockey, obviously, that was a perfect segue to the next one, which was boxing. I really think boxing is a great video game sport because it has really come a long way. At first it was kind of like it was very arcadey, but there were some great games that involved boxing. Like you had Punch Out, Super Punch Out, stuff like that, with like featuring Mike Tyson. And those games were a lot of fun, and it was great because it does involve, you're not just like mashing the button to try to beat up the other guy. No, there is actually a bit of strategy and timing that you have to kind of work on, which I think is really cool. And those games are great, and they also re-released it for the Wii, which I heard was like amazing. I haven't played the Wii version, but the but the other thing too is that boxing has come such a long way, with all the big graphical overhauls over the years. And one of the games I really want to take note of was Fight Night Round 3. Now that's a series that, it started off really well, but Fight Night Round 3 just like took everything up to the next level. Like when they came out on the 360, like it had those HD visuals, and it was very realistic. Like there were no life bars or anything like that. It was just, there were no like heads up displays. Usually in those types of fighting games, you have like a life bar and like points and this and that. But in this game, no, it was very like they took it back. They took away all the stuff on the screen, and it's just the two boxers. And it's great because it adds a sense of realism. It's like you're literally watching pay-per-view, or like you're literally at the fight. And it's just cool because like, there is, instead of having the life bar, what they do is you actually can see kind of like the marks on their face when you like punch the boxers, right?
Yeah, that sounds intense and electric at the same time.
Yeah, and it had this great control system where you can use, so that, I don't know if you guys have ever used an Xbox 360 controller, but just like the PlayStation, just like the PlayStation 2 controllers, there's two joysticks. So one of the things was the left joystick would make your character move, and the right joystick would be how you do your punches. So if you spin it a certain way, you can make certain punches. You can go from jabs to uppercuts, and like it was really cool. Like there wasn't really a game like it when it came out. It, to me, revolutionized boxing video games. And the other cool thing too is that you can, and they even brought like famous fighters. They actually brought the likenesses too of like Muhammad Ali and like I think Joe Frazier, and like they got current and older fighters. I think even Mayweather was there because he's been around for a while. I think he was probably that was probably when he was a bit younger when it came out. But and they also have this cool mode. You can actually heal up your players a bit. You can literally be the trainer as well. Between the matches, you have this, you can actually use the ice, and you can kind of rub it onto like the faces or like where any of the wounds are, essentially.
Cool. Yeah. I mean that just sounds so real. I mean, I've never played that particular game, but like that just sounds so realistic. I think you're right on with the fact that like the video game, especially these days, like as sort of time has gone on, like the players themselves, for like all these different sports, the baseballs or boxing or golf or whatever, just the players like features or like appearances in the games just have gotten so realistic. Like they basically look like the same players that you would see like on TV in real life. It's pretty wild, pretty wild graphics if you ask me.
Yeah, they do so well, like motion capture. Like I can even get into like a whole segment about just motion capture in general. I mean, like you have games like I know this is not a sports game or anything, but I'll show you this really quick, just this little still. This is the game version. Like you have Heidi Klum, Shannon Elizabeth right here, and Pierce Brosnan. Those are all the video game versions of them right here. So it's amazing like what they do, what they did digitally. This is like back in 2004, so it's like,
Right.
whoa.
No, it really has come a long way for sure. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, and the last game I wanted to touch on too, or the last style of game I wanted to touch on too, was I personally love racing too, because racing is just a very fun genre. You can go as realistic as you want, like Gran Turismo and the Forza Motorsport series. They take all these like real licensed cars and they put them in the games, and even the feel and like the way they drive and everything, it is very true to life, which I think is really cool. But then the other side of racing, you can go kind of silly. You can go crazy. Like you can have like games like Mario Kart, where they have the basic concept of racing, but you can get items and like it's just kind of like they change up the rules, certain rules a bit. You can throw shells at people, and that's one of the reasons why I like racing too. It's just like there's just so many different ways you can do it. It's a very simple type of game. It's a very pick up and play type of game too. Anyone can get into it, even if you don't know how to actually drive. Like you don't have to know how to drive in real life. Just but yeah, so that's one of my other favorite types of video games too. So it's just that there's so many different levels of racing. It's really cool. Like and it's one of the types of genres I think of gaming that has stayed really popular. It hasn't died down at all. It has, no matter how ahead the graphics are, racing can always keep up. No pun intended. So
Yes, very, very well done. Very well, very punny right there for sure. Yeah, it's oh, folks, we are having a momentary technical glitch here. Kyle is frozen. But I guess while we wait for Kyle to unfreeze himself, I'll kind of go into mine here for you folks. Because for me, I mean, I completely agree with what Kyle was just saying, in terms of the boxing and the racing especially is always really, really fun to to do and serve, stuff that you obviously wouldn't really be able to do. We lost Kyle. Hopefully he'll be right back. Stuff that you wouldn't really be able to do otherwise. And I think the thing for me though is I really enjoy this with the classic games, like the football and the basketball and the baseball, especially since you can basically put yourself in a manager's shoes in a sense, with the ability, especially for football. I think especially for football, you have the ability to, basically be the coach and, call the plays that you want to call, depending on the situation, and really just do, call whatever defense you want, call whatever offensive play that you want, just really dictate the game, which I think is really, really cool. And Kyle's back. Cool.
Yeah, sorry, that was
we got him back, folks. No, I was just saying to the folks at home, as well, we could hear Kyle at least.
hold on. I'm almost there. You know what? Sorry, that was me. My for some reason the Wi-Fi in my house is acting up a little bit. So sorry about the.
That's all right. That's all right. No problem. We persevere on. But I was just saying to the folks at home that, like, I agree with you when it comes to the racing games and the boxing games and stuff like that. But for me, I kind of am all about like the classic sports video games, like the football and the basketball and the baseball, because you can basically put yourself in a manager's shoes for those games. You can call the plays, or dictate how well somebody hits the ball, or dictate when somebody shoots or stuff like that. And sort of put yourselves in the shoes of your favorite players and just all these different things. Excuse me. Also, create your own characters and all that good stuff. I just think that's really always a really fun thing to do when it comes to playing sports video games. Is just basically, like I said, being able to, dictate whether or not you pass in football or run the ball or, what kind of pass you throw or all these different things. I just think it's a really cool way to sort of get inside the shoes of a football coach or, a baseball manager, or whatever particular sport that you're playing. So I always have really enjoyed those types of hands-on games. And obviously being a big fan of those sports also helps because you
Yes.
can kind of sort of live out your dreams of playing without actually playing in the major leagues for said sports. I mean, I don't know, it's interesting because I feel like there's just so many different types of sports and video games that I enjoy doing. I mean, there's really not like one specific one specific favorite for me, but I just think the games that I enjoy the most are the ones you can be most in control. Like I said, for football especially, or baseball or basketball, where you sort of dictate the plays and all that good stuff. So I think that's always a really enjoyable thing for me. In terms of again, I don't play sports video games as much as I used to, sort of back in the day, but it's still, whenever I get a chance to, it's always fun to sort of, you step in the shoes of my favorite players and help them help them achieve greatness, so to speak. So I've always really enjoyed that.
Nice. Yeah. It's funny. I forgot that you could create your own character in like the Madden games and stuff like that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, your own you could create your own team or your own player. You got so many in all these games. You have so many different capabilities, which I just think is always really cool. Um, for sure. But yeah, so definitely a lot of good options out there. And folks at home, we'd love to, hear from you as always. What are your favorite sports to play in video games, whether it be, tennis or racing, baseball, basketball, whatever the case may be, please feel free to drop us a comment on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever, and definitely let us know what your thoughts are on this particular subject. We always welcome the feedback. So we are going to sort of shift gears a little bit here, and I'm going to sort of go back to Kyle here for his favorite end segment of the show, and that is another edition of the Sue's Reviews. So Kyle, what have you got for us this week?
Okay, so there's been a lot of new movies and just really content in general that's been coming out, and there was definitely a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about. So I'll probably be just covering it throughout the next few weeks, several weeks, however long it takes. So I did want to start off with this one of the biggest shows that's definitely been on. I think it's been the most watched show. I think like probably
Your
for at
phone
least
is
like
buzzing with anticipation.
yeah, right. Is I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it, WandaVision, which I was a big fan, but
I've never
I do
seen
have
it, but I've heard of it.
yeah, it's a really good show actually. But I do have a thing to talk about at the end, and if I get a little ranty, I apologize.
Okay.
But
Rant away, rant away.
but I do want to be as honest as I can. So it's a really cool concept. So I'll try not to get too much into spoilers now. I'll let you guys know about a spoiler warning in case. Yeah, but anyways, so it's literally one of these shows that it's kind of like a sitcom. It's it starts off very much like a sitcom, and it reminds you of sitcoms like I Love Lucy, like very old shows like that, or even I Dream of Jeannie or whatever. And it was kind of cool because the show kind of throws you into everything, and you don't really know what's going on. Like these characters, Wanda and Vision, who is in the Marvels, who's in the MCU. He's like one of the superheroes. I won't get too much of that backstory. You guys need to see all those movies to understand what's going on. but essentially, yeah, it's a show about those two particular characters and how they're a couple and they live in this really nice home, but then weird things start to happen and you don't really know what's going on. Wait, there's just these like very strange. You can tell that there's just something not right about this whole setup, and that's what's really cool about the show. And honestly, as a whole, I thought it did a really good job at showcasing, kind of what type of character Wanda is, and I thought it did a great job at like setting her up and kind of really giving her side of the story, which you never saw in any of these movies, because in all these Marvel movies, it's such a big ensemble cast, so you don't really know what's going on with every character, maybe with certain characters, but once you kind of like go into the show, you kind of know how Wanda is feeling. And I really like that. They really take this kind of like psychological approach to this character. And it's very interesting. It's kind of a slow burn. It starts off kind of slow in the first two episodes, but trust me, stick with it and you're gonna get very intrigued. You're gonna really want to know what's gonna happen. And especially because the episodes are only about half hour long each, so you're really going to be like itching for like the next episode after you finish it. And it always ends on like really fun cliffhangers. And as a whole, I would say for the most part it's a really good series, except for the season finale. So I'm gonna go on a slight rant. I hope I'm not gonna take too long. I don't want to take too much time here, but so I will I will give you a slight spoiler warning. So if you don't want to hear what happens, even like a second of what happens in the season finale, then just skip ahead to Robbie's final thought, in probably the next like minute or so. But so I wanted to talk about the season finale, and I just was very disappointed with it. I thought it was a show with a lot of intrigue, and it really did a good job, I think, setting the character up. Like I said, it was a very good character study. But the thing about it is that the season finale just kind of ends up being another one of those Marvel final acts. Like it's just another one of those. Oh, we have a villain, and she can shoot CGI beams, and it's just like, okay, can we stop doing that, Marvel? You have something good, you have something interesting, but a lot of the movies that you do are you just do this final act of like the hero facing their villain who is like their equal counterpart, and they just throw CGI stuff at each other for like an hour, and I don't want to see that anymore. I'm sorry, you guys have done that so many times in a lot of the movies. Granted that not every movie. That's why certain movies like Avengers Endgame and Infinity War were great, because they kind of took the story in a different direction, stuff that you didn't see before. But WandaVision, I thought was going to do that too, but then they just were like, no, we're just going to do just a classic Marvel final act where superheroes are going to fly around and shoot stuff at each other for like half an hour to an hour. And I'm sorry, that just annoys me, because like Marvel, you had something, and I think you had a much better opportunity to end the show on kind of it just felt like the ending of a different show to me, and I didn't appreciate that. So that's my thing. So that's my only really complaint about the show. Other than that, I still recommend you watch it because it's a fun watch. And the actors are all great. Elizabeth Olsen's a fantastic. Paul Bettany. It's still a great show with a great cast. It just, for me, it just didn't stick the landing. So that's what I have to say.
Very fair, very fair, honest review, which is why we love the Sue's reviews, because it's raw, it's honest, and you do not hold back. So that is always a good thing. Excuse me. Wow. Live recording, people. So for my final thought tonight, is always a very exciting time of year, as I try to hold off a sneeze again. Excuse me. Woo! Always a fun time. But yeah, so tomorrow is a very exciting day in what is always an exciting time of year for me, because it is MLB opening day. That's hi. Sorry, folks.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm not dying over here. You know, just gotta love right in the middle, right when I get to my final thought. It's right when my body says, "Oh, I'm going to do a sneezing fit right now." Of course, again, remote engaged for me. Um, so what I was going to say is that I'm very excited for MLB opening day tomorrow. The Red Sox are. Hold on one second.
No, it's all good, dude. I forgot tomorrow was opening day. Actually, wow, that's pretty
What?
cool.
Yeah, yeah. No, Reds. Like I said, Red Sox opening days tomorrow. They are at home at Fenway Park with fans. That's right, folks. A 12% capacity for Red Sox opening day. Unlike last year, where there were no fans in the stands, and hey, you know what, Kyle? You had your technical glitch. I have my sneezing glitch, apparently. So yeah, the Red Sox are hosting the Orioles tomorrow, and I'm very excited. I'm just hoping that the 2021 Red Sox season can go far better than the 2020 Red Sox season, which was a colossal disappointment.
Like the
I
one
think
division season finale.
What? Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think honestly, I think it will be a better season for the Red Sox. If I had to sort of make a quick prediction here, I think it will be a better season, which compared to last year is not saying much. But yeah, I'm very excited about it. Obviously, some new players that the Red Sox brought in, some familiar faces. Unfortunately, not back this season, but I still think that seeing baseball back at Fenway, especially like I said, with fans in the stands, is going to be a very exciting thing. So I can't wait. It's my favorite time of year always. When the calendar flips to April, we get real live professional baseball into your homes and onto your fields. Like I said, it's always a good time. So just wanted to wish the Red Sox best of luck in the 2021 season. Like I said, I think it's going to be a great time, and can't wait to see what they're able to do in this 2021 season. Should be very interesting to watch. So that's it for my final thought, and that is it for tonight's episode. Thanks as always, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate your views as always. Like I said, it's always a good time, and looking forward to being back next time for another exciting episode of On a Couch Talking Sports. So until that time, he's Kyle, I'm Robbie, and we're signing off for On a Couch Talking Sports. Bye, everybody.